To another live edition of the Patriots Beat Podcast right here on the CLNS Media Network. It's Brian Hines, back as always with Alex Barth from 98.5 The Sports Hub to preview the New England Patriots taking on Barth's favorite team, the Buffalo Bills, this weekend in Foxborough. But before we get into that game, there was some roster shuffling an hour ago. It was a busy week for the Patriots injury report as kind of the theme over the last few weeks, but the Patriots did release sixth-round rookie Amir Speed. He's kind of had a core special teams role here over the season, so they released him subject to waivers, and now they have an open spot on the 53. So they have the Jack Jones activation clock started this week. They still have Trey Flowers and Cody Davis on PUP who are working their way back. So they have an open spot on the 53 if they want to promote one of those guys, activate one of those guys, or maybe promote Jalen Reagor off the practice squad as his elevations are kind of running slim here. So Speed out, maybe works his way back on the practice squad if he clears waivers, but a spot open on the roster ahead of this Week 7 game.
Yeah, I could see Speed returning. I think when you look at what they're going to do with that roster spot, right, it's Jack Jones, Cody Davis, Trey Flowers. An argument could be made for each of them. And then Jalen Reagor is one guy I could see getting elevated from the practice squad or signed from the practice squad. I also wonder if Connor McDermott gets signed because he should be their starting right tackle. He is the best option they have. It looked that way back in training camp. He got hurt, but now that he's back, I think they need to give him a look. And maybe they'll kind of string it together for a couple weeks and just elevate him until they absolutely have to sign him. But he's another guy I would watch here.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. He came back on the practice squad Tuesday after, he was released back in September with an injury settlement. So he should be healthy because to come back, it's like the length of what they projected the injury to be plus an additional 3 weeks. So you'd assume he's healthy. Maybe he can't come in right away and play a full game, but might be able to factor into the equation at that tackle position pretty soon. And then they're going to need depth along the edge because Josh Uche hasn't been practicing this week with the foot and the knee still, I think, is a bit of an issue. Keon White is in concussion protocol, it looks like, so probably not going to have him. So maybe Trey Flowers is that guy. Or with Amir Speed in that special teams role, like a one-for-one swap with Cody Davis could be in the work there. So plenty of options there. We'll kind of see what unfolds. But for now, Amir Speed out, open roster spot on the 53. But those were kind of the big two roster moves of the week, but we can get into some of the game, and I know we'll break down as usual some of the matchups and the tendencies, but I have kind of a one-word game plan for the Patriots this week, Alex, and it's just chaos. Just cause as much chaos as possible. On the offensive side, I'm talking give me Malik Cunningham running the ball, give me Malik Cunningham double passes, trick plays, defensively, I know they've spun the dial so much on Josh Allen over these years that nothing works. So, go back into that well and try to find something else to match his chaos. And just because you have nothing else to lose at this point and nothing else has worked against these Bills. So that's what I'm saying. Just cause chaos. If you're going to be bad, have fun, right?
So it's funny. You could sum up my game plan in one word too, and it might be the opposite of that: patience.
Okay.
The Bills feed on chaos. They want chaos. Josh Allen can't execute a drop back passing game. You think Josh Allen's going to come out and all right? So let me rephrase that. It's not that he can't. Josh Allen is not consistent.
Yeah.
Even his biggest defenders have to admit that he's not a consistent quarterback. Josh Allen's problem is he is too infatuated, and the Bills as a whole, Bills offense as a whole, too infatuated with the big play. And the book on Josh Allen, the book on the Bills, it's been out for a couple of years now, is if you basically just drop back into coverage, keep Josh Allen in the pocket, don't over-rush him, and basically just force him to check the ball down all day, take away the deep stuff, take away the scramble, he will eventually get impatient and do something stupid.
Except against
he'll either throw a pick or he'll take off with the ball and fumble or get himself hurt or whatever, all of it. Except against the Patriots. There's some weird thing. Sean McDermott clearly doesn't like Bill Belichick. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's made very personal comments about Bill Belichick in the past. And I wonder if that rubs off on the quarterback and maybe some of Josh Allen's failures against the Patriots early in his career. That being said, it's still the best way to defend him. So you have to do it and make him continue to tic-tac-toe his way down the field. Look, it's almost worked a couple times. J.C. Jackson had a dropped game-changing interception in 2021. Kyle Duggar had one last year. The opportunities have been there.
The Cam Newton fumble.
Right. So you have to be patient against Josh Allen, force him to check his way down the field, see if he can do it. Now, the big thing with that is the Patriots have tried to do that and failed because J.C. Jackson couldn't cover Stefon Diggs. So you need some sort of plan for Stefon Diggs within that. I think they need to be patient. And then on offense, slow, methodical, clock-killing drives. Run the ball. Here we go again. Run the ball. This Bills offense ranks 31st against the run in the NFL this year. It looks like they're going to be without Ed Oliver, their best interior defensive lineman. This is where, yes, give me the Malik Cunningham package. Give me Zeke. Zeke looked great last week. Zeke looked as good as he's looked all year. All of it. Run the ball, kill the clock, and then be patient on defense. And for God's sakes, when Josh Allen throws you the ball, because he's going to throw you one.
Catch the ball.
Catch the ball when he throws you one. And maybe that's enough. I don't know. Like, I think this game will be close. So one more thing. I'm blowing through my whole game plan in the first 10 minutes of the show, but this is just what we do for this team. There's not that much to break down. Everything I just preached about chaos, there is one point, Brian, where or everything I preach about patience. There's one spot where I'll agree with you on chaos. In all of the Bills' wins since 2020, except for the playoff games, so all their regular season wins, and this frankly happened in the loss too. Sorry, what are you going to say?
Against the Patriots? Against
the Patriots, yes. And it almost happened in the loss too, but the two drives ended without points. The Bills went at some point in the second half, went on one or two massive clock-killing drives. In 2020, they had a 9-play drive in the third quarter and a 10-play drive in the fourth quarter that extended the lead. In the second meeting in 2020, they had a 10-play, 7-minute drive to turn a 2-score game into a 3-score game early in the fourth quarter. In 2021, so not the win game, the other game, 14-play drive, 13-play drive. Took a 2-score game into a 3-score game and turned a 3-score game with a field goal into a 3-score game with a touchdown. Last year, 15-play, 94-yard drive in New England to turn a 2-score game into a 3-score game. And in the final game last year, 7-play, 81-yard drive late in the third quarter, turned a 1-score game into a 2-score game. The best way to avoid that is to get a lead early. But you can only ask for so much here, bro. So let's say they keep it close and they're down like a score or two coming out of half. Don't let the Bills go on that drive. That if there's any point where you're going to turn the pressure up and go chaos mode, that's where you do it.
Yeah, so that, like, keeping it close is the big thing, because back to, like, offensively, my big thing too was run the ball, right? And Malik's going to be part of that. Zeke's going to be part of that. It starts with the offensive line, and you can't find yourself in like a 28-10 deficit in the second quarter, because then you can't run the ball, right? But this Buffalo team, they've had success running on them in the past. Other teams have had success running on them at times this year, even though I think they're top 10 and maybe rush defense. But like Matt Milano is out for this season, I believe. He's definitely not playing this week. They lost.
He's out this week.
Tremont Edmonds, their linebacker from last year. Like he's in Chicago now. Like, so attack these linebackers in the run game. And on Malik, Andrew Callahan pointed this out from Sports Info Solutions. Buffalo is one of the 3 teams in the league this year to have not faced a design QB run, an option run, or a QB keeper off a zone read. And they're allowing 5.7 yards per carry up the middle against those kind of zone read runs. So throw it at him. Just see what happens. Throw it at him. I know Malik at times looked like in his 2 carries last week, kind of looked like the game was moving too fast for him. Kind of what you expect from a UDFA in his debut, but hopefully he's a little more calmer this week. He's ready to go, like, throw that at them, just see how they respond, run at these new linebackers in there. And to do that, like, you have to keep the game close. So that's kind of my big thing offensively, is to be able to run the ball, as we've been saying kind of all year here.
Yeah, and I think with Malik, it was obviously very quick for him last week. Look, he really hasn't played a lot. Forget even in the regular season. He only got really one drive at quarterback anyway in the preseason. I give him another look. I think I don't love it, but I think you have to at this point. I would absolutely give him another look in that package, in that read option package, because that's also going to slow down the pass rush a little bit. You start hitting them with that. I think they need to go back to him again this week.
Yep, I agree. And the double pass. Let him throw a double pass or something. Just chaos. Let's see what happens there. But yeah, the Bills pass rush is definitely a problem, especially with the Patriots offensive line in the current state. Bill called them the best pass rush in the league. Mac agreed, even though I think they called like the Philly pass rush the best pass rush in the league earlier this year.
Yeah, but they say that every week. Bill Belichick called Jimmy Garoppolo starting quarterback. I mean,
there you go. But it is a very talented pass rush, even though you mentioned Ed Oliver with that toe injury hasn't practiced. That was one of the guys Bill specifically mentioned multiple times, so that would be a big loss for them. But like, you go through like Greg Rousseau, Jordan Phillips, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, AJ Espinosa, like, they are deep there. And with the current state of the Patriots offensive line, that's where the game could maybe get out of hand. We'll see if it's Connor McDermott. Riley Reif hasn't been practicing. Winu and Strange are still limited at practice this week, so it's another kind of mess up front, and you might just have to piece this together to try to slow down a really good rush this week.
Yeah, I hope we get Connor McDermott. Connor McDermott should absolutely play in this game, 100%, if he's healthy.
Yep, I agree. And the other thing offensively, like, going back, the Week 18 game against Buffalo last year, like, Mac played really well in the first half. Then he threw 3 bad interceptions in the second half. But, like, maybe that's kind of your game plan. It was a lot of under center. It was running the ball, as we said, and then they had their, Mac was really good off play action that game. I think he was 9 for 9, 80 yards and a touchdown maybe. They worked the quick game a lot, kind of, because Buffalo, even with worth mentioning, Leslie Frazier isn't their DC anymore. Sean McDermott is calling the plays, but the defense looks pretty much the same. Bill pointed that out on Wednesday. Lots of zone defense, so last year in that Week 18 matchup, they really worked the quick game, which we saw them have some success in that area against Vegas last week in the quick game. So get Mac under center, run the ball, play action, quick game, stuff we've been clamoring for, then get Malik in there and just kind of see what happens at that point. Because, again, you have nothing to lose against Buffalo.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to your chaos point, like, you do sort of have to approach this game like you're playing with house money.
Yeah.
Good, be aggressive on fourth down decisions, go for it, things like that.
That was another one. Like, as much as I'd love to see Chad Ryland kick a 60-yarder or Bryce hit a bomb, like, if it's 4th and 3 and you're around midfield or on your side of the field, like, go for it. Like, let's be a little aggressive here. Let's have some urgency, because I believe they're 9-point underdogs right now over on Fanduel. Pull that up.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, like, you said it best. You're playing with house money this game, so let's be aggressive. Be a little aggressive here. Have some urgency.
Right.
So any other, like, offensive, matchups, players you're looking at? We still have Booty. Kayshon Booty popped up on the injury report today with a hamstring injury. Douglas and Juju Smith-Schuster are still limited with the concussions. Looks like they're trending in the right direction, though, that they are on the field. So any action in that receiver room you're looking for? Or Hunter Henry has also been limited with that ankle injury. Anything from the pass catcher perspective that you might be looking for against Buffalo here?
I'm curious how much Devontae Parker plays.
Yeah.
And look, maybe they don't care because they extended him, and I'm not saying it's right, but they've benched guys for a lot less than the comments he made after the game. It won the effort in the game and then the comments after the game. I would think DeMario Douglas will be back. Juju Smith-Schuster, maybe. He was a day later coming back to practice, but between them, Tyquan Thornton, like, you have options. Devontae Parker doesn't look like he wants to be on the field right now. And I don't know how you can keep putting him out there when he's giving you nothing. I mean, you've seen him. Forget the drop. I go back to that route on the third down.
Yep.
Was it in the third quarter where he gets to the top of the route, basically just stops running until he realizes Max is going to throw him the ball and he has to break on the ball late? You can't have that. You just can't have that out there on the field. So I'm curious to see how much he plays. And then with Demario Douglas too, get the kid on the field. Like, we kind of paused that whole conversation last week because he was hurt. He obviously wasn't going to play. Now that he's going to play again, he's at going into last week. So without having missed the game, his usage rate was around like 27%, and he was responsible for 1/10 of their total passing yards. And I know that sounds like lopsided, but keep in mind that 27% includes run plays and things like that, right? So we got to get Demario Douglas out there, and we'll see if Kayshon Boutte, if he's healthy, or if they call up Rager again, or if it's Thornton, if somebody gets the snaps, if Devontae Parker gets a little slap on the wrist for the way he performed last week.
Yeah. What'd you think of Boutte landed on the injury report today? Do you think that's an actual hamstring in practice, or is that looking like maybe a little Foxborough flu action to you?
Yeah, it's tough to tell. They're being weird with him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that could be because he had the hamstring earlier in the year. So maybe, he doesn't play. He puts on social media he's not happy that he's not playing, and the Patriots are like, oh, you're hurt, remember? See, look, you're hurt. I know there's been times in the past where I've asked a guy, because the injury report comes out before we go in the locker room, and I'll ask a guy about being on the injury report, and he didn't even know.
Yeah,
he was on the injury report. He'll just put him on there. So I'm not saying that's what this is, but like that could be so many different things. But whatever it is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily I'm more optimistic about him playing this week than I was before seeing that.
Yeah. If there was a time to play him, it would have been last week, and the fact that they still didn't go to him there, that's kind of a bad sign there. But yeah, Parker will definitely be interesting. If he's out, it's either more Tyquan or, last week when he wasn't on the field, it was kind of Jalen Rager at the X, which, you'd have to either sign him to the active roster or elevate him for the third and final time off the practice squad. But Parker just doesn't kind of really look like a guy who wants to be out there. And at least with Rager, you get that speed kind of element that Tyquan can provide. So that would be kind of an interesting switch up to see if, everything that happened with Parker there results in a dip in playing time, because I believe he's played the most snaps or percentage out of all their players.
Yeah, maybe he's the most used receiver.
Yeah, so that would be
should be Kendrick Bourne, but
yeah, so that would be a pretty significant change if they kind of lower Parker there after last week. But if you can get Rager, Thornton, Douglas isn't really that X position, but get all that speed on the field, just dip into that chaos, dip into that speed. We'd love to see that. But unless you had any last thoughts on the offensive side of the ball, we could hear from our friends over at Fanduel and talk about a little more about Josh Allen and the Patriots defense.
Where is it? There it is. Let's do that. No, what?
Into action this NFL season with Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining Fanduel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. Fanduel, official partner of the NFL.
Did you see the Harbaugh thing today?
The stealing signs, or however they phrase it? Yeah.
So I didn't even know that advanced scouting was illegal in college football. But somebody said,
yeah, that's a stupid rule.
It's a really stupid rule. Yeah. You can do that on TV. What does it matter? And so what? So if Jim Harbaugh, when he was suspended, if he had gone to another D1 game, what? That would have been illegal? Or what? It's only if you're taking notes. So what if you just go and memorize? Stupid rule. But somebody tweeted, I found it very funny. If Michigan paid an employee to watch Iowa's offense in person, that should be an OSHA violation, not an NCAA violation. But what a ridiculous rule by the end. And I'm not a big Harbaugh guy or Michigan guy or any of that. Like, I'm perfectly fine if people want to pile on them because I think that program's kind of dumb. But what a stupid, stupid rule by the NCAA.
Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. Is it like you can only have a certain level of scout go, or just like not at all?
I kind of just saw it in passing today. I didn't get a chance to read up on it, but it sounds like if you go in person and you make markings of like what the other team is doing in terms of signals, that's illegal.
Violation.
But send a student who doesn't work for the team.
Yeah.
Like there's so many ways that law can be violated. It's stupid. They basically caught him doing a spy game.
Yeah.
You know, if the camera was 5 feet lower, it would have been legal, but no, you're here. Like, who gives a crap?
Yeah, that rule is kind of ridiculous. But Jim Harbaugh, maybe the Patriots need a coach if he's getting into that stuff. But all right. To the Buffalo offense, Patriots defense, Josh Allen has obviously had his way with New England since 2000. I think they've outscored them by like 90 points. Allen's tossed 18 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, I believe it was. So you mentioned at the top, the book is, take away the deep stuff, make him play conservative, make him check it down all game, and then until he gets greedy, make him force a mistake, right? You're still rolling with that strategy this week, and how are you kind of formulating that from the Patriots defense perspective?
Same thing. Just hold on tight. Just drop into coverage, multiple safety looks. Now it's going to be a lot tougher to play this way without Devin McCourty, but I think you got to see a lot of Jabril Peppers this week. He's been your best safety. A lot of Kyle Duggar. Just cover 4, cover 2 man on the outside. Just keeping everything underneath, stepping up and tackling. And then keeping him in the pocket. You're not outright rushing Josh Allen. You can't be over pursuing the quarterback this week. You just want to collapse the pocket onto him and not give him anywhere to go. When he gets him, you got to tackle him too, and that's his own challenge. But yeah, I still think the way to play it is just to play not like prevent defense, but some sort of very safe take away the big play defense and just wait for him to get impatient. And I get that he hasn't gotten impatient in the matchups before. If you start blitzing him, and you start, going man on man, there's just too much talent. They're going to beat you. They're going to rack up big plays, and they're just going to nickel. They're going to hit you down the field for 40, 50 points. You can't let them take the big plays. That is the one thing you have to take away from this offense.
Yeah. The pass rush does scare me still, obviously, without Judon, and now Uche hasn't practiced this week, but it's not like, you just want to make Josh Allen feel you, right? Like you don't want to all-out pressure him, as you just said, but they haven't been able to generate kind of any pass rush since Judon landed on IR. And the big thing to me, and someone brought it up in the chat here, is we need someone to keep an eye on Josh Allen. This is your Marte Mapu game, right? Like he should be playing. This is why you drafted Marte Mapu.
Yes. Let
him spy Josh Allen. Let him kind of run after him because he has that athleticism. And I know we've been worried that they're not going to play like a 230-pound guy, in the middle of the field, off-ball linebacker. But I think they're kind of at the point where they might just have to because they're down all these edge guys. So you're really left with Anthony Jennings and Jelani Tavai on the edge. All that's left is Juwan Bentley, Mac Wilson, and Marte Mapu as your off-ball linebacker. So I think they're going to kind of have to play Marte Mapu, off the ball there, and I think this is the perfect time to kind of unleash him and let him, just keep an eye on Josh Allen there, and match him where he's running, and kind of make him feel hit him a few times in that role. So I know we didn't play last week, but hopefully we get some more Marte Mapu on the field this time around.
Yeah, I think this is the game to draft him, and I get they don't want to. First of all, yes, I said Devin McCourty's not playing this week because he's retired. It'll be harder to do without Devin McCourty because he's retired. Last time they played the Bills, they had Devin McCourty. You got to play Marte Mapu this week. And look, to be fair, last week was not a big Marte Mapu game. Josh Jacobs out there. They got big wide receivers. Like, that's not kind of game you're going to play him a lot. You drafted that guy to handle this kind of quarterback. You drafted that guy to be the spy on the Josh Allens and Patrick Mahomes of the league. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. It's a big task for rookie, but you're 1-5. What do you have to lose? You got to give this kid a shot. They can't. They used the top 100 pick on this kid. They can't get cold feet and suddenly realize he's not what they thought he was. They got to put him on the field and let him learn and develop.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about playing the kids, right? And even through the growing pains. So get them out there. This is the perfect matchup and just see what happens. Unfortunately, like this was the game we were all looking forward to for Christian Gonzalez, right? Can we finally get someone to slow down Stefon Diggs? And unfortunately, we don't have that opportunity. But I mean, J.C. Jackson has had some issues with Stefon Diggs in the past. I still probably am going to say we're not going to see Jack Jones, right? Like he came back to practice this week, but there's a difference between practice speed and game speed. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're still without him. And Jonathan Jones hasn't practiced. He's been out there at the start, but he's been listed as did not practice with that ankle injury still bothering him. So they're still undermanned in the secondary there. So, it'll be a big week for, JC probably. Hopefully, you'd imagine John Jones can still go after he played last week, but it's going to be all hands on deck to kind of stop not only Diggs, but Gabe Davis has had some success against this team in the past, too.
Yeah, so Gabe Davis doesn't worry me. I'll be honest. Like, if Gabe Davis beats you, I think that means the Patriots played a pretty good game defensively overall. Their offense even, and this is my hot take. Stefon Diggs is the reason the Bills' offense is what it is more so than Josh Allen. Yeah. Stefon Diggs is the engine of that Bills' offense. It's not to say Josh Allen isn't good, but they're able to do what they do because of Stefon Diggs more than anybody else. And I think this year, more than any other year, I mean, you've seen Josh Allen, how many times he panicked and just forced balls to Diggs. Receiving leaders this year for the Bills. Stefon Diggs is 49 catches. Next closest is Gabriel Davis at 21. That's less than half. Receiving yards, Stefon Diggs is 620. Gabriel Davis is at 341. No other player has more than 140. It's Diggs. This thing runs through Diggs. Josh Allen's passing rating is about 40 points higher when he throws to Stefon Diggs compared to other players. That's the guy you got to take away. It's so much easier said than done. And this is a big part of the reason I think J.C. Jackson didn't get signed in New England last offseason, was they knew they were going to have to get by Diggs at some point, and he time and time again proved he couldn't cover him. I think Diggs, more than Allen, is the reason the Patriots haven't been able to beat the Bills the last few years. Christian Gonzalez, to me, was drafted in big part to be an answer to that. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that this week. Yeah, exactly. Your reaction says it all, but that's if you can take him away, that's going to do more than like pressuring Josh Allen, like over blitzing Josh Allen. Because if you over blitz him, Diggs is 1-on-1 and Allen, he's going to have another 3 touchdown game. You got to take away Stefon Diggs.
Yep. It all runs through Stefon Diggs. But I think I'm just expecting a big like Dalton Kincaid game because like he hasn't really like lit up the stat sheet yet, but like that would just be the way this Patriots team is going. Like the rookie comes back from a concussion and just drops like 100 yards on them. So that'll be interesting to watch. Because I like Dalton Kincaid in the draft. So I'd imagine his first like big moment would have probably come gashing the Patriots in Buffalo. So we'll see that he's back. Dawson Knox too. They've been running a lot more 12 personnel, trying to find someone who can be a reliable guy outside of Diggs. But to your point, really, like they haven't found that yet. So maybe this is the week they do. But yeah, it all kind of runs through Stefon Diggs there, but easier said than done to try and slow him down. But any other Patriots defensive thoughts on your mind for this game?
Man, it sucks. They're missing Devin McCourty. He's not playing this week. That's real tough. He's not playing again because he is retired. What a stupid comment. What is up with this fan base, man? I got into it with the chat last week, and I said I wasn't going to do it this week. But man, what are we doing?
If we can transition this into college, because I saw this in the chat last week, and I saw this on Twitter a lot. Like, if you talk about Drake May or Caleb Williams, the amount of people that respond to you and be like, oh, well, if you put them on this team, they're like, what's the difference going to make? Like, thanks for like, we know, like, what have we been saying the last 2 years? Like, if you get a young quarterback, surround him with talent. Like, to say a guy who could be a franchise quarterback isn't going to be good on a roster that he's not even on. Like, thanks Captain Obvious. Like, what are we
There's a
talking
second round pick. There's a second round pick. There's a third round pick. And maybe you trade some of these, but like you have other
And
draft
there's
picks. They're also
free
going to have like,
agency.
right, $200 million in cap space. God, I would hope that they're not just going to draft a quarterback and keep everything else the same. That's what they did this year. Last year was the offensive coordinator. And it was like, well, okay, yes, you had to get Patricia out, but y'all had to do other things that they didn't do. Drake May should not be throwing to these wide receivers if he's here. Caleb Williams should not be throwing to these wide receivers if he's here. You guys got to get it. I get it. This is new to all of us. The Patriots being 1-5. You guys got to get it together, though, man.
Yeah,
you got to get it together.
It was just blowing my mind. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe you hope one day, like, they're the type of quarterbacks that can elevate, like, lesser talent. But no, the point is, you get a guy who might be a franchise quarterback, the most important position in sports, and surround him in talent and see how it works. So that was crazy. Is Tom Brady playing?
Yeah, Tom Brady's not playing this week either. I say stupid things. Yeah, like I'm stupid. Like I assume somebody saying a player's not playing is because they don't think they're retired. What did you think I meant? They're not going to have Devin McCourty. All right, we got to move on because now we're just going to people.
Well, if you don't have any last thoughts on the Patriots game in general, or we can transition that into some of our college football talk.
I would just say special teams got to be better. 32nd TVOA in the league, and this is a game like the Patriots have to play a perfect game to win this week. They have to win this one on the margins. Special teams is all on the margins. Bryce Baringer, sorry, Brian, can't come out and shank his first punt as he's done the last 2 weeks.
He's had one of those like every week, it seems.
It's not just that he's had them early. Yeah. And this is part of the reason they're falling behind. They go 3 and out, punt. It's a bad punt. And now the other team is a short field, and boom, they go right down and score. Can't have that. Got to have good snaps. Got to be covering kicks. Oh, it can't be running kicks out of the end zone. Can't be
don't give up
punts inside the 5.
Don't give up a kick return touchdown the first play of the game.
Don't or later in the game. Don't do that
at all. Yeah, just don't do it at all. Actually,
what do you make of the idea that the Patriots should, if they win the toss, get the ball instead of defer, to kind of mitigate these issues of starting slow?
I wouldn't mind that. Well, I
hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it. I'm not a big fan of it. I'll tell you why. Because you still have to be within your identity. The Patriots are, injuries and all, still a defensive first team. And the offense isn't starting slow because they're not getting the ball first. They're going 3 and out every time. And like I just mentioned, it feeds this thing. You got to be able to get a stop on defense. You got to lean on your defense and maybe get more favorable field position, something. I don't see how getting the ball first helps if you're still going to 3 and out on your first series. And now you're giving other teams a chance to double score against a team that has been bad, a team that has been bad early in games. You're giving teams a chance to really pull away.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind it just because, like, again, it keeps coming back to, like, what do you have to lose? Like, maybe there is just a little extra juice offensively and it leads to a better result. But I know Bill O'Brien was asked about that this week, and he kind of said, like, that's something we talk about during the week and decide during the week. I would be surprised if they did it this week because it looks like, I think Sunday was supposed to be kind of rainy, like windy, rainy. So that seems like a situation where you would kick it and try to get your defense on the field and force a quick punt and then get your offense out there. But maybe in the future, like, I mean, they don't have an opening drive score since I think it was Minnesota on Thanksgiving last year. So, like, and
that was their only one of the year.
Yeah. So, like, maybe it's worth just trying something new at some point, but I wouldn't necessarily expect it this week with some of the windy weather it's looking like.
It didn't look that bad. It was like 14-mile-an-hour winds.
No. I thought earlier in the week it was supposed to rain, but maybe that's...
No, I think I looked this morning, unless it's changed. I haven't looked since like 10 o'clock this morning, but...
Just
I'll take another wind bowl. That was hilarious. I'll absolutely take another wind bowl.
Yeah. I forget who said it, but someone said, like, that was the last good moment as a Patriot fan, and maybe it should have been a little symbolic that the last good moment was when Mac Jones wasn't throwing passes in a game. But yeah, we'll see. Looks like Saturday is definitely rainy. If I don't know if you saw, but they moved the Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel, Dante Scarnecchia Hall of Fame ceremony indoors, and fortunately is close to the public. I think there was a chance to win tickets on Patriots.com or something, but unfortunately that's closed to the public because of the weather. But we'll see about the weather on Sunday. But we can transition that into some college football talk because there are some big games again this weekend. I think the big one is Penn State, Ohio State. But I want to talk, we were talking quarterbacks earlier. I want to talk Caleb Williams first because wasn't a great showing last week, obviously, with the 3 interceptions and a tough game against Notre Dame. And now he's got a Utah team that beat him twice last year. I know he scored 5 touchdowns in one of them, but they held him to 24 points in the second one, I believe. And there, like we talk about chaos, like that can be the Utah defense in a way. So kind of a big bounce back game from Caleb Williams, it looks, against this ranked Utah team.
This is a bounce back spot for him in so many different ways, like you said, based off last week, based off the both outings last year. And then also just, it's been a weird week for him. The thing about the ownership, like he wants ownership stake and taking shots at that Notre Dame fan that came out earlier today. He's starting to get into that. Like, I think people are starting to waver on him. He's got to come out, light this Utah defense up. Now he's at home, so that'll help in Southern California. He's got to come out and light this defense up and remind everybody who he is. I think this is a massive spot for him to show that he's got that killer instinct that you're looking for in a truly elite NFL quarterback.
Yeah, big test for him. But probably the game of the week is Penn State at Ohio State, battle of 2 top 10 teams in the country, 2 probably the best Big Ten teams. Maybe Michigan's in there, but
who
maybe
knows
not like
Michigan now.
Yeah, who knows with that? But maybe not the quarterbacks you're looking at, but a ton.
Well, not this year. So let me say this. Sorry to cut you off, Brian. Not the quarterbacks you're looking for this year. Obviously, neither of them are draft eligible. If you're somebody who thinks the Patriots should give Mac Jones one more year, and you have your eye on that 2025 class, Drew Aller, who's a true sophomore, is going to be one of the top quarterbacks in that class. And based on what the quarterback Penn State, based on what he's done so far, I can't imagine Kyle McCord would come out, but he was the top high school recruit. He would potentially be one of the top quarterbacks in that class as well, I think, if he did come out, if he turns it around. So you're looking at, if you're somebody who wants the quarterback in 2025, these are some of the guys we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. I mean, if you want that and you want to build your roster other ways, like these are the teams you're looking at. This is the game. Because I think Dane Brugler of The Athletic, who's awesome draft coverage, I think he said like there's 20 plus draft eligible prospects in this game. And I mean, just where the Patriots might be picking top 10 alone, you have maybe Marvin Harrison, but Uboka as, maybe the wide receiver 2, and then, the offensive line with Fashanu, the Penn State tackle, like tons of freaking talent in this game.
I mean, I don't even, just to build on it, Robinson, the edge rusher, and Kalen King, who's both Penn State guys. Kalen King, Penn State's corner, excellent player. I don't think Patriots taking a corner in the first round again, but to evaluate against, Marvin Harrison, this is a NFL wide receiver against an NFL corner. These are 2 guys that are among the best. Well, Harrison is, King's up there. He might, I go Kool-Aid McKinstry, but they're close with King. Big time matchup there. And then even on the edge, Ohio State has a couple good edge guys, Jack Sawyer, the other guy whose name I always butcher, Tiumalalu, I think is what it is, JT Tiumalalu. So you're going to see Fashanu get some looks from guys that are top 50 picks. I don't know either of those guys. They're like fringe first round picks right now. But yeah, you're going to see NFL talent against NFL talent. Travion Henderson, if you're somebody who's worried about the running back position, where they're at with Ramondre Stevenson, I could see them taking a guy like Travion Henderson in the 3rd round as kind of the long-term replacement for Ramondre. That would make a ton of sense. We could just keep listing guys.
Yeah,
but there's a ton of NFL talent on the field.
Yeah. Running back.
Tommy Eichenberg was a guy I really liked for them last year. I'm just going to keep listing guys now. you jump in where you want. Tommy Eichenberg's a linebacker from Ohio State. I actually think I took him in my first mock draft last year. I always do one the day after the Super Bowl, and then he ended up going back to school. I also really like Ohio State's tight end, Cade Stover.
He's had a good year, yeah.
He kind of reminds me of This is a weird comp. If Keon White played offense, he's a converted defensive end. He's this big, physical, imposing athlete where he's raw technically because he's new to the position, but he checks all the physical boxes. And I think it's a little easier to go from tight end to defensive end than the other way around. Not taking anything away from Keon White, but it's like Stover doesn't. I don't think Stover's second round pick. I think he's probably an early day 3 pick right now, but that's a guy I would watch. Cade Stover from Ohio State. And people, and if you listen to me with Taylor on Tuesday, you heard me say this. Like, people always ask me, where do I start with the draft? Where do I start? Where do I start? I say start anywhere. Start with your favorite school, start with the highest ranked players, start with a certain position, or just start with the funniest names. That can be somewhere you start. And if you're doing that, Penn State, so I just talked about, they have that one corner, Kalen King, who's just excellent, going to be a top 20 pick. Corner opposite him, who's like a day 3 pick, not bad, but he's not, blue chip prospect. Storm Duck. Maybe you just want to watch Storm Duck the whole game and get all excited about him. Could go either way.
Yeah. So much talent in that game. Someone said tackle in the chat. Fashanu, tackle will probably be the first or second tackle off the board with Notre Dame's Joe Alt. So just everywhere you look on that field Saturday afternoon, there will be draft eligible, like, top prospects. So other top quarterbacks.
We can keep going. This guy paid $2 to comment this. So Will Rogers, it's a bold use of $2. Those true air raid quarterbacks, they struggle so much in the NFL. A lot of it's not transferable. I like Will Rogers. I like his makeup. He'll be like one of the hotshot college football offensive coordinators in like 5 years. He's on that Cliff Kingsbury, Kellen Moore path. I think that's his future.
Kevin O'Connell, that type of
Kevin
stuff.
O'Connell's another one. Yeah. Although, no, was he an air raid guy in college? Or is he just like a...
I don't know where he played, actually.
Zach Robinson fits that description.
That was another one, yeah. That might have been.
No, O'Connell's at San Diego State. He definitely was an air raid.
Okay. Yeah, Robinson was probably who I was thinking of. But
Timmy Chang.
Other top quarterbacks, Bo Nix at home against Washington State. Bama, Tennessee is just a good ranked game. Quinn Ewers on the road after his bye on Houston. Drake May home against Virginia. And Florida State Duke, Jordan Travis maybe in that, day 2 area against a really good Duke defense, top 20 teams. So,
well, that's also, if you're interested in somebody like Keon Coleman against that Duke defense, that's
that would be a good one. And then Penix home against Arizona State. So plenty of good games there. Any thoughts on any of those? Anything to have your eye?
They're good games. I'm really excited just to watch the football game that is Florida State Duke. Alabama, Tennessee too. It's another good one. J.C. Latham is probably the top draft target in that one in terms of the Patriots. I don't know how much.
Quietly going to win the SEC here with the Brock Bowers injury and.
Well, the SEC East or West, whichever one they're in, it doesn't make any sense. I still don't know. Yeah, Georgia worries me. The SEC kind of feels open, doesn't it? Yeah. Especially with Brock Bowers down, Georgia hasn't been the same. Everything feels open. I was texting some friends today about, just college football and like who you think's going to win the title. My buddy said Florida State, and it just kind of comes to nowhere. You don't think of them as a title contender, but if they win the ACC, they're going to be in the college football playoff, and who can they not beat? There's a bunch of teams that I think you wouldn't definitively take one over the other. I don't know that there's one team right now that you looked at Georgia last year and you said they'll beat anybody they play. They'll beat anybody they play if they show up. You looked at like Alabama, Ohio State. Those are teams that Georgia, they could give Georgia a game and they were just going to definitively beat everybody else. Everybody feels vulnerable this year. Yeah. Everybody, including Georgia, including Michigan. Michigan feels very vulnerable, especially now. Including Florida State, Alabama. They all feel vulnerable.
No, I agree with you there. Iowa's going to get in there.
Iowa winning the Big Ten and then having to fire their offensive coordinator would just – Iowa's the chaos candidate. You want chaos, Brian.
Iowa.
I am rooting so hard for one-loss Iowa to somehow make the college football playoff, averaging like 16 points a game. That'd be great.
and then just get like demolished by Florida State in the first round or Georgia or something.
And then they somehow end up in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Shout out Iowa.
That would be something. But quickly on Brock Bowers, do you think we've seen the last of him in a Georgia Bulldog uniform? Because I know he had that tightrope surgery. For those who don't know, he had high ankle sprain, I believe it was. He had that tightrope surgery that's gotten popular to rush back on the field. But like, this is a guy who's going to be a top 10 pick. He's already won 2 national championships. Like, what? Like, I don't know.
He should take his time. I'm with you on that. He should take his time.
That seems like a kind of a weird situation to really try to rush back for and get back on the field. But we'll see. Georgia needs him, so that would be interesting to watch how that unfolds. But I think that'll do it from us today.
I'll bring this one up one more.
Right,
Sorry,
one more.
I'll just bring this one up because somebody else did a super chat. So I feel like if I pull one up that paid, I should do the other one. When does Gerard Mayo start making personnel decisions? I wouldn't quite go that far.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're talking about in game. That would be if and when Bill gets fired, which I don't think is going to happen mid-season. I don't think he's ever going to be the GM. Like, he's a coach. Yeah. I don't think they would ever make him like if he becomes the coach, it's Matt Groh or somebody else is going to be the GM.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like a Bill situation where he would be coach and de facto GM there. They'd probably bring someone else in or go with Groh, as you just said. But
right. So we appreciate the super chat. One more college football question for you. We sort of just touched on it, but I got to ask you because it is historic, and I want to see what the number is currently before I ask you. Hang on. The Iowa-Minnesota was just named the Sickos Committee official game of the week. It is a historic total. I'm trying to find out what FanDuel has
low,
it at.
I'm guessing.
No, it's 80. It is.
I'm gonna say
30 and a half.
I was gonna say like 31 and a half. So
I think it was 32 earlier this week. It's now 30 and a half.
Down. Oh my gosh. What was the one you liked earlier in the year? That was like 33 and a half.
I don't remember. Oklahoma State.
And then it like soared over though. But
yeah. Like hit in the first quarter. 30 and a half. You riding that?
Oh, I'm going under all day.
Love it.
That's some classic Big Ten football right there, baby. But all right, I think that'll do it from us today. So go follow Alex on Twitter at Real Alex Barth. Go read all his Patriots Bills preview coverage on 98.5 thesportshub.com. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and go read all my Patriots work over at patspulpit.com. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.